Yeah, I think the NFTs and gaming and the metaverse are really going to be the drivers of mainstreaming NFTs. And you're going to see, I believe, NFTs move from virtual world assets to real world assets over the next couple of years. And really the driver of that change is one, I think it's gaming, two, it will be metaverse.
I think it's going to be the year of metaverse. Definitely, we're going to have much more things happening on that direction. Hello and welcome to Dinis Guarda, Cities ABC Open Business Council YouTube podcast series. Once again, we are here with another exciting personality and some of the people changing the world with technology and the best of what we can do to change society. And I think what we've been doing in this channel is really pushing the boundaries about how technology can go, how we can actually create better decentralized solutions, and as well technological innovation that actually can open new ways and new solutions for the problems we're facing, but as well how we can actually deal with the complexities of our society that is increasing digitized, but as well facing a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities as well. So I'm particularly excited to welcome to our series Dave Uhryniak, which I think I didn't spell it completely correct, but David will get here. So David is director of blockchain strategy of TRON DAO, which is one of the biggest platforms in the world in terms of blockchain. And in terms of his background, he has a fantastic academic background from the MIT to Carnegie Mellon University, but as well has been a technologist looking at the boundaries between innovation and blockchain, and as well looking how to take this forward, and as well leading some of the top projects in these areas. He's going to tell us about himself and of course about TRON. So TRON is definitely one of the biggest platforms in blockchain in the world, has been as well, I think, opening a lot of doors in terms of the centralized open source blockchain-based operating systems, but as well as a cryptocurrency native to the system, and a platform that has been, I think, leading a lot of the waves on what we have in the blockchain world that is still in its infancy. And as well, of course, when it comes to TRON today, that's what we're going to be talking about, what it comes, what it holds, and I think the increasing milestones that it has achieved, and as well some of things in terms of NFTs, gamify, and metaverse. So as well on David's background, I think for people listening to us, we're going to put a bio of him, but it's really an impressive profile that looks at the leading edge of innovation, but as well working and building very solid platforms that touch some of the, I would say, some of the leading companies in these areas. So welcome to our series, Dave.
Dennis, thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here. And thank you. I think that was the first time ever anyone described me as an exciting personality. So I certainly appreciate that.
No, your work is very exciting, and the personality as well, because to build this, you have to have a strong personality. It's not easy to lead what you're doing. So as I mentioned, David, so you have a very strong background academic. So shortly, if you could give us, first of all, how do you get into technology? I always like to start that. And how do you start really get into blockchain and the academic background?
Yeah, so how I got into technology is kind of probably a different route than most other people. My background following business school was really as a research analyst, as an investor. And it was there that really, I really focused on strategy for the most part, and how to apply strategy to solve problems, to really to help corporations reach their goals, both strategic goals and corporate goals. And then I was working at Deloitte, and when Bitcoin first came out, and really started to focus on Bitcoin and dive underneath the surface to understand blockchain. And that was when I really started to think, and this was probably 2012, 2013, that blockchain would be incredibly transformative to the financial services industry, and I knew I wanted to be a part of it. I knew I had to be a part of it. And then everything I did from there was focused on becoming involved in the space. And really what I like about it is that it merges, it's really problem solving. It's applying technology to the issues that companies face to enable them to reach their corporate and strategic goals. And I think that's really what I enjoy. And now it's going, right now it's going so much further than that, as we get into metaverse and NFTs and gaming that you had mentioned earlier. But yeah, just I'll stop there and go back a little bit more about myself. So I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my undergrad I went to a very small school outside of Pittsburgh called Westminster College, and that's in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania, very small town. But I wanted to get more of a liberal arts type of background. I knew I wanted to be in business, but then, you know, I also wanted to at least feel like I was somewhat well-rounded in terms of being able to think outside of business and discuss other topics than business. And then following that, I was able to move on to really extend my business education at Carnegie Mellon, which was an amazing period of time, an amazing experience. And Carnegie Mellon is really, I think, just a great school and really prepared me very well for everything that I've done since then.
No, impressive. And I think it's interesting that you come from an investment perspective and as well with academic background, that you went to blockchain, but you come from as well like big institutions like Deloitte, like you mentioned. So how did you came back then from this technological background to blockchain? Because blockchain, let's say just 3 years ago, was something a red light for a lot of big corporations. And of course,
Yes.
TRON is one of the fast growing platforms on this and was always on the leading edge. And as well, sometimes with some clashes with other blockchain platforms. So very strong performance, both as a crypto and both as a technology. So if you could get us a bit of that background.
Yeah, so how I came across TRON and why I wanted to be part of them. Yeah, I think
and blockchain. First, let's start with blockchain.
Oh, first blockchain. Yeah, blockchain. I just always found it to be incredibly interesting. And my first thought was this is going to have a tremendous impact on payments. Certainly institutional payments around the world. And, you know, obviously it has, but it's really gone beyond that. And it was great, you know, when I was at early in my blockchain space, you know, we were coming up with use cases and talking to companies about, you know, developing these use cases and talking to them about how blockchain was going to impact their world. And, you know, I had so many doors closed in my face that people didn't want to talk about it. So many people saying, you know, it would never work. So much just kind of, you know, resistance to the whole technology. You know, it just went through that experience, and it, you know, I think it didn't deter me at all. I still wanted to be part of it. I knew that it was going to work, and it was just a matter of time. People were always resistant to change, and we were that back then. I think we were really in the stage of early adopters. Now we're probably beyond that, moving up that curve, and you know, for blockchain, you could really argue that we've crossed the chasm, so to speak, on blockchain and are moving into kind of mass adoption. And I think that's going to pull a lot of the other areas within blockchain, you know, like we've been talking about NFTs, gaming, metaverse. It's going to take that along with it, or at least blockchain will provide the foundation for that to really move forward. And I think that's, you know, that's really a positive development within the space. So yeah, but that's, you know, that's really how I got into it. And really one of the probably one of the bigger issues in helping me to really develop and understand what makes a successful use case and what doesn't.
No, so let's go to from your background to get into Tron. So for
Sure.
people listening to us, and we have an audience that is quite broader, but a lot of people, of course, in blockchain. So can you tell us a bit about Tron, where it stands, a bit of its history? Because I think this is quite I want to make this a big overview about Tron and about everything that is going on from, of course, you're responsible for the DAO Tron. So a bit of an overview about the project and what it stands, both history and present.
Yeah, so if anyone doesn't know, Tron was started by Justin Sun, I believe in 2017 while he was at the University of Pennsylvania, we're in law school. And it was originally started on Ethereum, I believe, and by 2018, he was able to achieve mainnet independence and really begin the development of Tron as kind of its own entity. Since then, it's been evolving very rapidly over the last few years. We've developed a very broad ecosystem of projects and applications. And most recently in January, we became a DAO. So it's been really a busy few years. I was able to see and begin to kind of follow Tron from the conferences that they were presenting at. They were always very active. One conference I saw them at was Blockchance, and I thought they really told an interesting and compelling story, and I thought that it's very well known within Asia, but really doesn't have the exposure globally that I think it deserves. And I think that's one of the things that we're focused on, not only this year, but in the coming years, is really helping people to become aware of it. I see a lot of publications talk about the top blockchains or this blockchain or that blockchain, and really I don't think they include Tron. And I don't know if that's because they're not aware of it or some other issue, but I think over the next few years, over the next, probably within this year, I think that's going to change. And I think people are going to become much more aware of the presence of Tron, certainly within the United States and the Americas, and begin to recognize it as the leading platform that it is.
Yeah, so looking at the history of Tron, so Tron, like you said, has been leading, and of course you have a personality, Justin Sun, that is quite a huge personality in the blockchain world, and as well been very profiling in terms of NFTs and different things. But I think, like you said, it's one of the top platforms in the world at the moment as we speak. I think it's number 24 on CoinMarketCap in terms of position, at least today, 26 today. And I think so. One of the things that, from an historical perspective, so is from a blockchain operating system that aims to ensure technology is suitable for daily users, and as well, I think one of the things you claim is that this network capacity has a capacity of 2,000, whereas Ethereum is much smaller. So can you tell us about, first of all, that capacity, and as well as the other blockchain? I'm sure that you can actually explain for people listening to us. And I think for people listening to here, a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. We've been having multiple people here, but for people listening to us, it's a big part of the decentralization movement within blockchain that I think is key for us, but for the ones that are less technical savvy, it's always good to repeat. So please, Dave, I would like to hear more in terms of the way and the operation, the capacity in terms of the network capacity.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you're right. Tron does have the mainnet. Tron has the capacity to process 2,000 transactions per second. Additionally, we have our cross-chain solution, which is called BitTorrent chain, which has the capacity to process up to 7,000 transactions per second. And then on top of that, we have a sidechain solution as well, which really, if you applied the sidechain to the mainnet of Tron, could really take transactions per second, really probably well up over 100,000. So we have the capacity and the capability, really the technology, to support transaction size of anything that a company, a person would need to operate their, whatever it is they're trying to scale up. So the mainnet uses a delegated proof of stake model, which is a bit different than other solutions that you see out there. So yeah, and the point of delegated proof of stake is, I think when you look at proof of stake versus delegated, really proof of stake can still lead to consensus being determined by the person that, or the groups that hold the largest stake. Whereas when it's delegated, it kind of removes that and really focuses on or fosters real decentralization, versus where in traditional proof of stake, it's decentralized, but it has the potential to be more centralized than others.
Cool. So one of the things that makes TRON unique is that it has positioned itself as an environment where content creators can connect with their audience directly, by eliminating, of course, some of the centralized platforms and actually creating streaming, especially for streaming services, app stores and music sites. So can you tell us about this? Because it's particularly important because, of course, the creative economy right now is in 50 million people worldwide. And people like myself are creating business out of this. And but there's a big challenge still of creating a reward system or creating technology. And we're still dependent on highly centralized platforms like the one we're using as well here today, YouTube and so forth. So can you tell us about this position towards the content creators? I know Justin Su recently has been one of the most high-profile investors in NFTs, so he's been actually walking the talk. But a bit of some of that part, if you could give us an overview, what you are creating, especially solutions for the creative economy and content creators.
Yeah, for the content creators, you're exactly right. That is an area that Tron is focused on and something that we are rapidly developing. So we have Ape NFT, which is kind of a what you would call kind of more of a gallery for content creators to display their work. We work with Craftly, which is a marketplace that this work could be sold. And really, I think what's most exciting is later this month, we'll be launching a new marketplace for creators to get their creations out into the market, get them viewed, and connect with people that want to maybe purchase their work. So it's really exciting. Ape NFT really functions kind of as a gallery for right now. Craftly is one marketplace that we work with, but then I think really what we're excited about is what's coming up later this month. And it's going to be a completely new marketplace for people like yourself to put their content and get it out to the public and get it out to those that might want to purchase it.
So do you say that this marketplace, if you could elaborate more on this, because of course there's at the moment, if you look especially in the NFT industry, definitely we have OpenSea, Nifty Gateway, and probably Rarible. And Rarible, I think, is the only one that you can actually mint an NFT with at least 2 or 3 blockchains, whereas Solana and Polygon are taking leadership. So what would be especially the scope of Tron today when it comes to the differences in terms of the creator? Let's say if I want to mint an NFT in this new platform, I don't know if you can elaborate. I know that it's coming, so probably
I can't elaborate too much.
I understand.
It is coming out, but I think it's going to be multi-chain, like you were saying. It's going, and certainly cross-chain. One of the things, not to get off on a tangent, But one of the things we think is going to be most important, and really the way the industry will develop, and I know there are varying views on this, is that the blockchain world in terms of the mainnet space isn't necessarily going to be, for me to live, someone else has to die. It's going to be everyone working together, and there's going to be that cross-chain collaboration that that's necessary. So we are, committed to working with multiple chains, and I think that's one thing you'll see in this new platform is the ability to have an NFT on multiple chains. So that's going to be, I think, a very nice feature.
Well, that's very impressive, because I think really at the moment the challenge is definitely I think I would say that the biggest challenge problem right now is to simplify the solutions when it comes to for the creators and for content producers to be able to do things faster.
You're exactly right, and that's a great point. And I want to touch on that somewhat. So, when I look at this space, I think there's a lot of pieces of it that strike me as being commoditizable, right? So in terms of when you think about speed, when you think about capacity, things like that, security, all of those things are eventually going to converge at the lowest possible rate and the highest possible rate. Speed and cost, specifically. Cost is going to be driven down, speed's going to go up to where they're almost indifferentiable from each other. But what's really going to be the differentiator among these things is the ease and user experience that people have in getting their whatever it is they're trying to do up and running. So whether that's from an NFT perspective, is it easy to mint an NFT, get it out to the public? Is it from a DeFi perspective, right? Let's say someone has an idea for a new decentralized finance company and they want to get it out to the market, but they don't necessarily know how. They don't have a coding background and they don't have a lot of money to invest. They're going to search for a platform. They're going to want to launch on a platform that makes it easy for them to get their product to market. And I think and when you look at TRON, one of the things we have and one of the things we do well is the Just platform, right? And that's specific to DeFi companies. We're getting it up and running, and we're continuing to evolve it to really differentiate through user experience versus these other more what I would call ultimately commoditizable qualities. So I think you mentioned something that it was a very good point, and I just wanted to touch on that somewhat.
No, you're completely right. And I think the ones that can actually fix these challenges are going to the ones pushing the economy forward, because of course the NFT technology is still in its, although it's been running for 4 or 5 years in terms of growth, it's mostly in the last less than 1 year, actually 1 year more or less.
Yeah.
So coming back to TRON and to his legacy and what the future holds. So you would say that at the moment you want to position more in the creative, because each blockchain, for instance, Ethereum is challenging right now. The minting fees is really crazy, and the scalability is still with a lot of challenges. Cardano has great PhD and I would say academic work, but it's not really creating some of the solutions as fast as we have. And I think this is a bit like the beginning of the internet, that I hope it doesn't happen in the sense that 2 or 3 take over and take all.
Yeah.
But I think what we would say in terms of the milestones, because of course TRON has been always in the top, like you said, top 20, top 30 blockchain or tokens in the world, which means you have a great community and a great engagement, because not everyone can be in the top 20 for all this time, especially with all going back and forth. But what would be the legacy and what the future holds? So you're going to position more in the part of content production, which is going to be increasing bigger, or other areas, just to understand that from your side?
Oh, sure. Yeah, TRON actually, in the stablecoin space, TRON actually has a market share of approximately 25% of the entire stablecoin market is transacted on the TRON blockchain. And I think that's really an area where we do have a significant presence, and you'll continue to see that grow as as stable coins become more prominent. You're going to see that evolve. That is going to be really one of the foundations. If you think of it in terms of pillars, that's really one of the pillars of Tron. Additionally, when you think about the future of Tron and the future of everything going on in this space, it really connects to NFTs. Really support the gaming space, which really plays into the metaverse. And that's, I think, from a gaming perspective, we have a couple of really cool games already. One that I think is really cool is Win NFT Horse, which is a horse racing game where you create NFTs, you create your own horses out of and turn it into an NFT, and it participates in races. And as your horse wins, it increases in value, just like any horse racing would be in real life. And it's been very well received. I think there's over, it's only been launched recently. We have over 22,000 horses have been created overall. The initial game offering sold out within 1 second. Over 10 million page views. And I think this year, as we become more known in the US, I think it's very possible you see some really well broadcasted or notable events coming out in that horse racing game, especially as we move into the real horse race season here in the US. It's possible you'll see some really interesting events coming up from Tron. So, and then additionally, I know our gaming group is working on some really other interesting games that will be coming up soon, probably over the next few months, that I don't want to give too much away for yet. But then, when you think about the metaverse, I've been reading estimates. Overall, the metaverse is estimated to be an $8 trillion opportunity. Tron has partnerships with Crypto Voxels and the Sandbox, and we've already purchased real estate within the metaverse in Crypto Voxels. We have a couple of, or quite a few buildings and offices within that space and other real estate. So it's, definitely an area that we're interested in and will be participating in a great deal more.
So then from the Tron ETF, which we were talking, I don't know if you can, there's elaborated information on your website, and for people listening to us, I think you can actually get a lot of information because you have a great website. But so from your work, and right now, of course, you are in the early stage in terms of blockchain, leading personality. In terms of the vision, so we touched about the content producers. Then we talk about as well the ETF and some of you mentioned the 25% as well stage in some of the DeFi. So what areas besides these ones can you highlight for us in terms of the Tron ecosystem?
Sure. Well, I think, like I was saying before, really what we're focused on is growing what we've already cultivated over the last few years and what we've started. So our focus is really one of the biggest focuses is partnering with others within the community to help them grow their business, grow their ideas. And what that means is we're looking to partner with corporations that want to expand their blockchain capabilities or develop their blockchain capabilities. We want to help emerging DeFi companies to get their businesses up and running. And that's really a focus for us over the next year, and probably over the next few years, is really partnering with people and companies in the space that want to develop their applications on the blockchain. So DeFi is certainly an incredibly important space for us right now. Additionally, I think another focus, we touched on it before, is cross-chain capabilities, really working with BitTorrent chain and connecting with others in the space. We really view that as critical to the continued development of the space overall. Certainly as you get more, as gaming evolves, as the metaverse evolves, we think that cross-chain capability is going to be hugely impactful and necessary to facilitate the growth of those markets. And then NFTs and gaming really are, I think to a large extent, they go hand in hand, or at least there's a great deal of crossover, certainly gaming and NFTs, or NFTs within gaming. So those are other areas that we are very focused on. So yeah, I would stop there.
So thank you so much, so I'm actually from my notes here. So when you look at the TRON smart contract ecosystem, like you mentioned, you have especially in the stable coin where you have quite a substantial market, but then you have quite a huge number of applications as well in DeFi and infrastructure and NFTs. So let's go to the NFTs because I know that is a big thing. So we touched that you are working on the marketplace, but concrete stuff and gaming where we have, I would say, probably looking at your smart contract ecosystem where we have more, probably I would say at least number of solutions is in DeFi and gaming. So I don't know if you want to highlight in terms of DeFi and gaming and eventually wallets as well, or NFTs, some of the projects you mentioned. So for instance, I'm seeing here blockchain cutties on the NFTs and T-Punks and Appen.
Oh yeah, those are great communities
things,
within TRON. The TRON Punks or T-Punks are collections that can be found and purchased, and they have communities surround them. We have our version of Bored Ape Yacht Club, TRON Mebits. We have all those collections that people like, and they're available. But yeah, I think really, I think it's not only creating the communities around those different things, but creating the marketplace for creators to get new content out and creating those secondary markets, such as an OpenSea that we're going to see that's really going to be the focus going forward. And I think that's, and right now, I know Ape NFT has kind of been, it's a wonderful gallery. We have great content there with, content from Beeple, and I believe Picasso. We have relationships with Christie's and Sotheby's, which are all very nice, and they can be viewed there. But we'll see how that evolves as we go forward. Right now it's a gallery, but then, yeah, each of the other areas are great little communities within themselves. But I think going forward, it's about creating that marketplace, that community where all of these things can be exchanged.
Okay. And it's really very interesting. I'm looking at the different things. So on the gaming side, at least some of the things that I am seeing here, you mentioned the horse racing, but I'm seeing here from Evolution Land to Chain Z Arena, the poker, the Pixel Farm, Fishing Master. Do you want to highlight some of these gaming platforms that have been built on the smart contract of TRON?
Let's see, I think the ones that are most important to us really is the relationship with Win. That's really one of the flagships of our gaming protocols on TRON. It's a bridge from the real world to the metaverse. So that's really one of the things I would focus on. But then the others, I think, and still, even at this time, I think our biggest efforts are within the Win NFT horse, and we do have 888 Tron. And then the others are, we participate in them. Users have the option to select the Tron chain, but they're not really what I would say Tron specific. Or where Tron is the primary, chain within them. So they're more aggregators.
No, completely. And this is for people listening to us. There's an interesting white paper that highlights some of the work we've been doing on these areas, and as well an overview about the work in terms of the TRON DAO and all the ecosystem, both in terms of marketplace and in terms of projects like the ones I just mentioned, in terms of the TRON smart contract ecosystem, where there's different projects. Your opportunities and as well what you're doing right now when it comes to the metaverse, which right now is actually fast growing. We touched about NFTs, and of course I wrote an article that touched the ideas that that means that the NFTs are like the keys, but the metaverse is the doors for the next dimension of our kind of digital revolution that we're going on. So can you elaborate a bit on this and as well your vision for that?
Sure. Yeah, I think the NFTs and gaming and the metaverse are really going to be the drivers of mainstreaming NFTs. And you're going to see, I believe, NFTs move from virtual world assets to real world assets over the next couple of years. And really the driver of that change is, one, I think it's gaming. Two, it will be metaverse. And within the metaverse, Tron's partnered with crypto voxels. We've partnered with the Sandbox. And like I mentioned before, we've purchased real estate within crypto voxels. So I think overall, when you look at it, kind of big picture, it's really going to be that progression from getting people accustomed to using NFTs within gaming, creating those secondary markets for things purchased within games via NFTs, and then within the metaverse to where it becomes much more common to, and I know it happens somewhat now, but it's very niche within music. I think is a huge opportunity for NFTs. You're going to see that happen more within art or media of all types. You're going to see NFTs become much more prominent. And then I think really what's going to be a huge factor is when NFTs move into the world of finance as a legitimate way of doing business and conducting transactions. So when you see adoption of NFTs by major financial services firms, I think that's really going to be, really push that whole area, not only into the mainstream, but probably you'll see an explosion in value.
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably one of the different things. So one question for you as a technologist and as innovation, do you see the metaverse more going in the direction of augmented reality experiences with NFT powered payments, or more for immersive environments, or a mix of both? Because I would like to hear your opinion, because there's a lot of discussion that the metaverse is already about all the immersive experience that we are doing right now in social media and so forth. Yeah,
I think it's a mix of both. I think we've already seen the kind of the immersive experience, I think, begin to take hold, and the AR and VR really isn't as mainstream as everything going on. That's probably perhaps the next phase, or likely the next phase, but I don't think it's necessary to participate in the metaverse. It would really just be kind of a way to enhance the metaverse experience, potentially. So, and what I mean by that, we've already seen, games such as Minecraft, Roblox, those types of things really take hold and really become kind of the entry into the metaverse. And you'll see them further develop, I would think.
I think it's going to be the year of metaverse. Definitely, we're going to have much more things happening on that direction. So
yeah.
And in terms of TRON, are you trying to do anything specifically when it comes to metaverse? Because of course, especially right now, most of the NFT players are right now trying to partnership. And for instance, you have Decentraland and all these platforms are becoming massive.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything on these areas? Because I know that on the NFTs you are very, very active. On the metaverse, are you trying to do any particular things that you can public talk?
Anything, not beyond, I mentioned the partnerships we have with a couple. I believe there are other partnerships that you'll likely see coming over the course of the year. But I don't think we're doing anything, I don't believe there's a TRON Metaverse being developed necessarily. I think we're about partnering with others that are developing them and participating in the metaverse. I'm sure we'll have NFT platforms available in those areas, but nothing that I could talk about too deeply right now.
In terms of blockchain technology, so we've been going through a degree of maturity of the blockchain technology, and you coming from both an investment background and an academic background, how do you see the next waves besides what we talk? I don't know if you want to talk about some other the things, because of course there's the DAO economy is growing, and you guys have been leading on that as well, but we're still in a lot of centralized systems worldwide. How can we actually make a better balance between the centralized and the decentralized systems without having this clash, and as well making life easy for users? Because in the end of the day, you guys have 79 million users, which is quite impressive number of people that have somehow TRON in their wallets and so forth.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Within the smart contract platform providers, I think you're more likely to see consolidation in that space versus further expansion. So I would think there will be some consolidation with perhaps some niche players at places. But then at the same time, I don't think it will consolidate down to only a handful like we've seen in big tech now. I think it will remain fairly well decentralized. And the reason for that is because of the capability to transact and communicate across chains. So once you get outside of the top 30 chains or so, I would imagine those companies either change course to do something else or combine with one of the larger chains to just to make their business survivable for the most part. So that would be in that space. I think you see more or an increase in the viability or the kind of what I would maybe call success or focus on cross chains, like this whole wormhole thing that came up this morning. Obviously that's not a positive for cross chains in general, but I think it's still very early in that space, and you're going to see, because it is so critical, you're going to see it developed where it does become really a secure way to transact, because it's just needed. So that's where I would think there will be a lot of focus going forward. And then, I'm sorry, what was the rest of the question?
No, the question is, how do you see the evolution of blockchain? I think more a general question. How do you see the new trends that are coming as someone that is being involved in innovation as well?
Yeah, I would say some consolidation, focus on cross-chain capabilities. Really, I think you're going to see, obviously, GameFi and NFT and DeFi are going to be key, but then I think you're going to see mainstream adoption of blockchain within, probably, you already see it in supply chain probably has been one of the leaders in applying blockchain, but you're going to see, I believe, adoption within, or greater adoption within financial services. We already see it to a large extent, but more an integration between public and private chains. I think right now, everything we see within that side has been predominantly private chain. And I think it's going to become more open going forward. So.
No, fantastic. Well, I want to thank you for, I have a couple more questions, but I think I will, I know that you have as well some limitations in terms of some of the things that you can talk, but I think it's really,
Yeah. No, what are they? If you have time,
let me ask
I'd love to.
I would like to ask this. So from a scalability perspective, because I think that's probably the biggest challenge that we're facing when it comes to blockchain. How do you see, as head of blockchain of one of the biggest platforms, how can we fix this? Because I think at least what I've been trying to highlight in this podcast and actually in my work is always creating utility and creating solutions that work. And I think any technology will become very successful. It works. And for instance, whatever you like or not, I think the first stage of the internet, which was the internet that is right now mainstream success, was precisely because it really made things work. And of course, it created the giants, centralized giants that we have today, for good and for bad. But I would like to hear from an expertise perspective from your side. How do you see the facing these challenges, as well, the solutions related with especially the scalability around blockchain solutions?
Yeah, scalability is a great question. I think you're going to continue to see it to evolve. You know, when you look at Visa and MasterCard, which are kind of, I would say, the gold standard in terms of transactions per second, you know, they didn't get there within 1 or 2 years, which is, you know, kind of, or even 10 years now within blockchain. I think you're going to continue to see scalability evolve as more people work on finding a solution to it. And I think we're getting there with some solutions. You know, like I was talking about TRON, we could go up to through side chains. You know, you could get up over 100,000 transactions per second, certainly, and you're seeing that in other chains as well. I think Solana well, I know Solana for certain has significant capability in terms of processing transactions. So I really think it's just a matter of time. Like I was saying earlier, that's one of those things I believe to be almost commoditizable. And over time, everything will converge at that highest rate to where there isn't much differentiation left among the speed and cost, because it's going to move to the highest speed and the lowest cost, right? And except this time, instead of creating these giants of MasterCard and Visa, it's going to be spread out among a much larger number of companies that all have to work together. And that's where the cross-chain and cross-chain scaling will come in. I don't know if I could speak about that. I mean, from an AI perspective, I think it's, you know, I honestly haven't given that whole area much thought and how, in terms of how it would work with blockchain. But I would think the first thing that comes to mind is dynamic smart contracts, right? That adjust to conditions as they evolve versus being static. So right now, if I was applying AI to blockchain, I would want to understand or I would want to focus on, how can I develop a smart contract from AI to deal with a variety of situations, but still be within the context of the original contract. So that would be one thing. And where might that have applications? That would have a lot of applications within, I would think, trading. So as in creating decentralized markets within equities particularly within derivatives or commodities, I think that would be a really interesting thing to explore if you were to apply AI to blockchain to, facilitate some type of new model. That's what I would do.
Cool. I think it's the way to go. Okay, well, so I think we touched a lot of stuff. I appreciate your time, David. I know that it's the long stuff. Thank you so much. I am looking forward to see where you guys can take Tron to the next level. And as well, actually, it's kind of one of the blockchains I've been always watching with a lot of interest. So I wish you a lot of success in all the work and Justin and all the team, and as well all your millions of users worldwide. And which I am as well one of the holders at least of some of your token. Thank you so much, David, for your time and for the insights. And looking forward to continue collaborating with you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Dennis. Great to meet you.